Alright, so if we're doing a quilted textile and we want to get the look of quilting in, what we need to realize is that essentially there is the fabric, like say we have a quilt, but it's just like patches sewn together, squares. Each of these, should have drawn that first. Each of these squares, because it is quilted, the fabric curves a little bit both ways. So your center point where the light hits is going to be like at your highest point, and then you'll have it a little bit darker at the edges. So to give everything a nice quilted look, I like to darken the edges first by even just giving it a bit of a thicker line. I find the high points of each of my blocks, which is all going to depend on how it's quilted together. This is like the most simple. I'm just quilting along my seams of my patch. You could spend years studying how quilted stuff works. I'm just going to go very simple. Okay. And then I'm going to do some little scumbling in here, and then I'll come in with my blending stump, and I'm also going to end up using my eraser. And usually I work on this almost in layers, where I'm working on this like mid-tone first, and then I'll come back in, redefine anything here that I want. If there's like a little pucker in the fabric, I might include that. You know, any of these little details that you can get to make things come alive, like a wrinkle in the fabric, is bonus. That way I have just like a little bit more. I might even, depending on how fluffy this is, I might even do more than that, or make this just a little bit less. Like, maybe just a tiny bit. It's not bad. And so if I do this for all of them, doing some pretty big scumbling here. And if I'm just trying to lay down this graphite quick, I'm using that 4.8 or 4B because it's got the softest lead. Come back in, get all of these roughed into shape. Now I could have, if I can, to control how much light I'm reflecting. This could be like the back of one of those leather chairs that has some quiltedness. Building up the values and layers, figuring out where I really want the darkness, where these corners overlap. Tends to be just a little darker, so I can put a little extra there. Coming back in with a little bit of light. One thing I want to make sure is that when I'm looking at this, my light source kind of hits evenly in one direction. So all of my light sources are almost like little mirrors of each other. Like that one's a little low. Now I have an approximation of a quilted surface there. So it's about thinking of these as the curve in and out. So drawing in lines like this that helps you go, okay, this is where the fullness of my fabric really is. To curve it helps out. Actually, that looks kind of cute. I could just do those and have like a cute little design now. It doesn't look actually not like a quilting pattern. Other quilted things could be like, there can even be like random quilting where it's just like these little forms, and then you're just kind of finding where your highlight is in each of these shapes, what describes the highest point of your fabric, and then figuring out, okay, so this is in a crease, that's going to be the darkest. Working your way up to the lightest spot. Where's my other crease? And it's easiest if you go and find fabrics to work from, and then just work from the smallest area towards something bigger, just like connecting each little piece. And it's good to do these little swatches like this where you kind of figure out the technique that you're going to use before you start trying to put it onto a form. And then I can come in through the top and lift back out those highlights. The softer my fabric is, the softer the edges of these highlights are going to be. The more like vinyl-y it is, the harder that they'll be, the more shiny it is. And then you just kind of have to work until it looks like it recedes enough to look like the fabric that you're using. You could also come back in and adding in like a stitched line might help indicate that it's a quilted fabric or something like that. Even though that stitch line would actually be down all the way in the crease. Adding it in kind of suggests to your eye, oh, okay, I know where that stitching is. Let's look at the other options.